Here at BK Live, Hyperlocal is our mandate. We do our best to fill in the gaps where those other outlets just plain drop the ball. And we've got some great partners we call on to help us get the story out, from street crime to the biggest food tasting event this side of the East River.
Now, whether or not you've heard about the teens terrorizing Chinese shop owners in Bensonhurst or the expansion of a business district in Fort Greene, our next guests are going to offer context and insights beyond the headlines. They are Heather J. Chin. She's the editor at Fort Greene Focus. Thanks for being here, Heather.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. We're also happy to welcome, representing the Brooklyn Bean, its editor, Rachel Silberstein.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Sure. Rachel, let's start with you. What can you tell us about some of the stories that are going on the Bensonhurst Bean? Well, let's start with the Bay Parkway bullies. Should we?
Yes. So it's a group of teenagers who have been harassing merchants on Bay Parkway, which is a really large commercial strip in Bensonhurst. And it, this isn't that uncommon, especially around summertime when it's near a large middle school. But this is particularly unique because it's been going on over a year, to the point where the merchants had to install locks on their doors to protect their merchandise. They've been destroying property, harassing customers, shoplifting. And it's also unusual because the fact that it went on for a year kind of highlights kind of a communication gap between the merchants, who most of whom do not speak English, and law enforcement, as well as the teens are mostly white teens harassing Asian store owners, right, which kind of brings to the surface some underlying racial tension in the neighborhood. Because as you know, the character of Bensonhurst changed really dramatically in 10 years. Right. It used to be an Italian stronghold, and now it's kind of moving into what is soon maybe the sixth Chinatown, exactly.
Much like New York's the Italian Little Italy, and Chinatown butting right up against each other. So if this has been going on for a year, I feel like I've just heard about it in the last 2 weeks. How did you guys start getting the story?
We read about it. We got a tip from a local community member who sent us a Chinese language newspaper. So we kind of drew what we could from Google Translate and then went and talked to those shop owners. And what they told us was kind of really disturbing. One person got punched in the face. It was and it was just more alarming that it went on for so long, and typically what happens when there's problems around high schools or middle schools, the police will increase their presence in the area. Right. And for some reason, that didn't happen.
So are there steps being taken now to increase the police presence there, or to improve upon this problem?
Absolutely. Which brings us to our follow-up story. They immediately called a meeting at the local precinct. Spoke to shop owners who had taken pictures of the teens. They had video footage, they had camera photos, and they were able to identify most of them as local kind of neighborhood troublemakers. Yeah. There were 2 arrests immediately. 2 of them were underage, so they just kind of reached out to their parents. But those 2 kids actually got arrested a day later for harassing Asian seniors in the park. Really? So then
bad seeds.
Yes.
Kids. And
the captain, as the headline says, declared all war on them if they didn't heed his warning to stay off Bay Parkway. But now there's been
some improvement.
Exactly, and there's been several meetings since to sort of figure out why there is this gap, like the language barrier. What is to blame for this communication gap between the shop owners and police?
Okay, Heather, we know you've been sitting here patiently, and we're going to totally jump into Fort Greene, but I just wanted to ask you too before we move on. We have this discussion when we have edit meetings, or we're looking at the news here. We're consumers and producers of news, but in dealing with these young people who are just the neighborhood bad kids or something, and this urge that we have watching the broader media talk about the way that people in Baltimore are characterized as thugs and animals and savages when something like what happened there happens. How do you guys walk the line in your newsroom to say, how did you arrive at the Bensonhurst bullies? Is it just good alliteration and you don't want to call them punks or toughs or words that we see kids of color being painted as?
It was a really tough balance, because we didn't want to, a lot of people, when the story broke, were kind of those kids need a good kick in the ass,
right.
We didn't want anyone to get hurt because they are minors.
But they should be kicked in the ass.
By their parents, maybe. But, and the larger issue is these are kind of, if it is racially based, these are, views that they've maybe absorbed from adults at home. So it kind of points to a larger issue that's not really the kids. So we tried not to publish we didn't publish their names or identify them. We asked whenever people would post Facebook profiles of them on our media site, we would immediately delete them because we didn't want to put them at risk. And we just the police did a fabulous job. They identified them
and they are bullies.
Technically,
Yeah, definitely, by definition. Now,
Yeah.
Heather J. Chin, you're from the Fort Greene Focus. What do you want to tell us about what's going on in Fort Greene at the moment? What's the big story?
Well, right now the most recent big story is Wegmans, which all focused on the supermarket. In case if you hadn't heard already, there's going to be a supermarket on the Admiral's Row site at the Brooklyn Navy Yard, and that's been in the works for years. It was just a matter of which supermarket would win the bid. And so last week it was announced that Wegmans, which is a upstate New York, Rochester-based supermarket chain, won the bid, and they'll be working with Steiner Studios, which is already a strong community partner based in the Brooklyn Navy Yard. And Wegmans has a strong following, so especially in college towns up in the Mid-Atlantic. So there was a lot of excitement. I also went to school upstate, and so I know Wegmans love is very strong, especially from the 20 to 30-year-old age range. So people were excited, and I think part of that is because I know the last time I was on your show, there was a discussion about a key food being closed in Clinton Hill, and the concerns in the community over losing this community space and this source of affordable food. And then it became an issue that even the New York Times picked up on, which was this kind of spotty access to food issue in Fort Greene and Clinton Hill, especially up there by the Farragut houses and Ingersoll houses and Whitman houses. And the Navy Yard, there's only a small fine food there, and so this prospect of having this large 75,000 square foot or 74,000 square foot supermarket with a whole range of items within easy walking distance was also made local residents very excited.
It's been a long process, right? The whole Admiral's Row, and are they going to preserve and whatever? So how far away are we from buying our stuff now?
It's the scheduled date for completion is 2017. So there's a couple of years a ways. But they also, one of the things that also made everybody interested was that they're planning to hire locally. So they're going to be having recruitment offices in the NYCHA houses as well as at Building 92 in the Navy Yard. And they're going to be restoring or not knocking down 2 of the Admiral's Row's houses, at least according to Steiner Studios' Twitter. They tweeted it. So it'll be nice because I know a lot of people were concerned about the preservation aspect because it's a Civil War era and they were gorgeous, and even though they're very dilapidated now through neglect, which is really unfortunate that it was neglected for so long. They're not preserving the whole thing, but they'll preserve a portion of it.
That's great. They should have no problem recruting workers as well as customers in that area.
Definitely.
Do you know Wegmans? Is that a thing for you?
No, I can't say I do, but I know supermarkets.
I've eaten before.
I have gone food shopping occasionally in my life, and it is such a Brooklyn thing to be excited about a large supermarket because there's no real other places in that area to buy food, like you said. Yeah. Let's see, Rachel, what else is going on in Bensonhurst and on your website?
So aside from on another commercial street in Bensonhurst, a few blocks over, it's 18th Avenue. We're for the first time ever, we're getting weekend walks, which is a partnership between community organizations and the Department of Transportation. They shut down the whole street.
Taking back the streets for the people.
Exactly. Which should be nice, and it's kind of, the flip side of the last story, where it's going to be an opportunity. If you've ever been on 18th Avenue in Bensonhurst, it's a very diverse mix of, old-timey, old-school Italian specialty stores and bakeries and like pasta shops mixed with, sort of newer Asian restaurants from all over the place, Vietnamese, Cantonese. And so it'll be a wonderful opportunity to kind of showcase those businesses and let people sample everything and really showcase the wonderful diversity that Bensonhurst has
They're
to
going to
offer.
literally shut it down. Like
Yeah.
you'll be able to lounge and walk in the street. Maybe
Yeah.
they'll roll out the grass. You can have a little.
And people will have like
picnic.
activities out on the sidewalk. They might have like an outdoor cafe. It's like really for the merchants to really take advantage of it.
Very cool.
Yeah, we're excited.
So speaking of merchants, over in our neck of the woods over here again, there's an expansion of a business improvement.
Yeah, it's really interesting, and the timing, it's kind of funny that it's overlapping. So the MetroTech bid, which is mostly focused on downtown Brooklyn, has they have plans to expand to include the Brooklyn, what's known as the Brooklyn Cultural District, which basically
Where we're
includes where we are right now, BAM, BRIC, the Morris Dance
Morris,
Center,
yeah.
the Theater for a New Audience, and all just this general area. And so they'll be expanding a little bit over, and they've received community board support and have done a lot of outreach to residents and business owners in this little area. And and they plan to have a lot more community interaction. So basically what this means is that they would engage in maybe some beautification efforts or give merchants some representation. And since the MetroTech bid is so active, many merchants in the area are excited or glad to have that representation. And also that when in those discussions, it's not only the MetroTech bid that's going to be expanding, but the FAB Alliance, which is the Fulton Area Business Alliance, also has plans to expand a little bit more westward because they're you see Fulton Street.
Right.
So they are going to be expanding a little bit more towards, and then they'll just come up against where the MetroTech bid is expanding, which is basically around here, the border. So that's kind of interesting to keep an eye on. And then the Myrtle Avenue Business Partnership is not expanding so much in terms of geography, but they're working on expanding their services to local residents and strengthening their outreach, particularly to seniors, which both on the food access issue as well as just general services issues, because seniors in the community, Fort Greene and Clinton Hill is somewhat of a naturally occurring like retirement community. So there's a lot of seniors in the area, and there's a lot of access issues, whether it's because they physically have to be able to get some places, or they just have to be made aware of things that are going on that target them. Because, like for example, their Myrtle Avenue Business has been holding workshops, and they created a senior advisory council to discuss how to make seniors have a healthy lifestyle too, because there's so many programs around here saying, oh, yoga in the park for younger folks, or like movie things for, and usually it's there's no geared to younger or the mobile. Yeah. So they're going and not necessarily like, I guess intentional, but that's just what has happened. So BAM has their monthly senior cinemas, which is great because it's like free movies for seniors, and now there's going to be
once a month. They got a budget over there.
And so and then more healthy lifestyle stuff, like there has been yoga in the park at South Oxford Park for older adults, and there's like movement exercises for older adults, and actually I think the Morris Dance Center has sent instructors to help with like the Ingersoll Community Center. So that's nice to see.
They can always come to BRIC. Our building is totally accessible, and we love old people here.
Come to BRIC House, everybody. Fort Greene, this neighborhood, always changing. It'll be interesting to see how and when those changes take effect, the one that you're outlining.
Keep an eye on.
2 minutes to go.
Rachel, what else do you want to tell us about that's going on your website and in Bensonhurst?
Fight us.
So this is less Bensonhurst related and more Corner Media related. Heather and I are part of a conglomerate of hyperlocal news sites called Corner Media. And
we have 7 sites.
Exactly. And our Sheepshead, we're doing this, we have this series, a food series, which started in Sheepshead Bay with our site, Sheepshead Bites. Used to be called Tastes of Sheepshead. This year it's called The Bite. And
Sheepshead.
Yeah.
Keep her honest.
And it's going to be really amazing. There's going to be 20 different...
over 20 different vendors from across Sheepshead Bay and Coney Island. So you're going to have like all these seafood stuff, Russian food, Greek food,
Peruvian
food, falafels, things, Italian, a whole range of gamut, because Southern Brooklyn, Bensonhurst, or Coney Island and Sheepshead Bay, it's just a whole mix of diverse cuisines, which are not necessarily available in other areas of Brooklyn, because Brooklyn has all these different things. So if you've never been down there, or if you just want to eat some more, feel free to get a ticket. You can go to sheepsheadbites.com, or really any of our sites. All of our sites will have those links and the pop-ups to be able to buy tickets, and it's next Thursday.
Well, we've got 2 years until Wegmans, so we might as well buy a ticket and come down
May
and sample all
28th.
those
May
foods.
28th, Thursday.
May 28th, mark your calendars.
There you go. And we'll be
Any
checking.
last 30-second shout-outs you guys want to do for something that's coming up or in? News stories, what's fresh, break some news, anything?
Breaking.
Myrtle Ave is getting a Starbucks. I
Oh
read
yes,
on your
on the
site.
business talk, Myrtle Avenue is
God.
getting a Starbucks
Just so
and a
we-
Chipotle, which
And a
has
Chipotle.
met with mixed reviews. But on the
I
plus
heard
side,
Charlie Hoxie screaming that the Chipotle is coming. But
yeah,
I won't post that.
Starbucks actually put out a call just a couple days ago for baristas.
hiring.
They're hiring, so hopefully
And managers too.
and supervisors.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
so hopefully maybe some local residents will be able to get something positive out of that.
Well, we hate
And
your
Chipotle,
coffee, we love your
burritos.
jobs.
So
Coffee tastes burnt.
Yeah, agreed.
Just kidding. Rachel,
we have
anything else?
loads of coffee shops in the neighborhood. So
Yeah.
there's
Support
also that
those.
local business.
Rachel, anything else? Want to plug your website one more time?
Bensonhurstbean.com. The Bite, go to The Bite.
Go to The Bite, yeah.
Thursday.
And speaking of coffee, visit Bensonhurst because our coffee there, Bodega coffee, costs 75 cents. It's probably the only place in New York where that's still available.
Wow.
Excellent.
Yes.
Do you have to take your DeLorean to get 75-cent coffee in New York?
And it's a gorgeous walk on the waterfront. There's parks and everything along Bensonhurst, and so
Thank
you can walk with your coffee and get some views, and it's gorgeous. Especially it's Fleet Week, so you might see some interesting things.
Yes,
there.
Fleet Week starts today.
Hello, Sailor.
Thank you, Heather, Rachel. We'll check out the Bensonhurst Bean. We'll check out the Fort Greene Focus, and please come back and join us again soon, okay?
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for having
Just
us.
kidding. I'm engaged.
He's tied down.